but we're going to begin, of course, in Florida again, where there is widespread devastation and loss today in the wake of Hurricane Ian. Many of the beach communities along the state's Gulf Coast are disaster zones this morning. President Biden fears this could be Florida's deadliest storm ever. Unfortunately, the system is not done yet. What had been Tropical Storm Ian has now strengthened once again to a hurricane. It could hit South Carolina just hours from now. Our lead national correspondent, David Begnaud, is in Fort Myers, where people are still struggling. Yeah, they've been having a rough go of it, David, and now we don't want to hear hurricane returns. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. As the sun is starting to rise, we yet again are taking a look at just the widespread destruction, Gayle. We are in the heart of Fort Myers, right along the Caloosahatchee River. Behind me, you've got boats that are really just tossed like toys into and on top of each other. The recovery effort's going to take a long time and no doubt be very, very expensive. Homes were just ripped from their foundations. I mean, people are homeless this morning. A lot of people are in shelters. Others have driven for hours looking for hotels. In a lot of places, the high water has started to recede, and that's really giving us the best look yet at the destruction. Emergency responders from the Coast Guard, the National Guard, and other search and rescue teams have conducted at least 700 rescues so far. There have been reports of at least 4 deaths, but that number is no doubt expected to rise. 911 centers in Southwest Florida have really been overwhelmed with thousands of people who say, I'm stranded. I need you to come and get me out of my own house. I'm in my attic. I'm on my roof. We're talking about life-threatening emergencies here. The best way to see how devastating this storm was is to see what it looked like before Ian. Here's a look at the shoreline and the pier in Fort Myers before the storm. And here it is after. The pier stripped, businesses reduced to rubble. I mean, it's really a common sight along this stretch of the southwestern coast of Florida. We got in a helicopter yesterday to really get an up-close look at the devastation. Here's what we saw.
Some of these homes right there, look at that. I mean, that home is just flat.
Pretty quickly after we took off, the scope of the devastation really came into focus from the air. Home after home, block after block, seemingly neighborhoods torn apart by Hurricane Ian.
This is Little Hickory Island near Bonita Shores, and it's incredible because you don't know where the streets are. The sand has come in from the ocean and covered it to the point where it's caked. There are vehicles and homes that are literally in the tree line there.
From the air, we got a good sense of just how widespread the destruction was, along the coast and inland. It was as if this hurricane just grabbed the earth and shook it, tossing things like toys in a bathtub.
We headed next for Sanibel Island, but we couldn't get there because there was a TFR, temporary flight restriction, imposed by the FAA in order to give rescuers a chance to get in the area and keep onlookers out.
We got off the helicopter at a high school field, and not long after, in the exact same spot, our producer notices another helicopter coming into land. It's a Coast Guard chopper with the Strader family, taken to safety after being stuck on Sanibel Island for 2 days. The only road in and out, the causeway, was ripped apart by the storm surge.
Everything on Sanibel is destroyed, that's for sure. There was about an hour where the wind was coming pretty hard.
I was praying a lot, a lot.
Patrick and Rebecca Strader needed to be rescued after they stayed behind with their 2 kids, Grant and Nora. Sanibel is now practically a no man's land. We asked the Straders why they decided to stay behind. They had just purchased a home on the island 2 weeks ago, and they were in a rental property as they got ready to move in. The family says the storm surge rushed in, rising quickly. The house was vibrating, they told us, pictures literally falling off the walls as the water rose around them.
When the water came in, it came fast, though.
Yeah, that's the part. It would have been fine because we're from Fort Lauderdale. We know a normal hurricane. But when the surge came through, that was when I was freaking out.
There was quite a few homes in the neighborhood that were not as lucky.
One collapsed. Roofs were gone.
The Straders, nervous themselves, did their best to keep the kids calm and distracted for as long as they could.
Our iPads died and we didn't have any electricity, so...
Last night they slept in a hotel. As for what's next, 7-year-old Nora has an idea.
I want to go to New Hampshire.
We're going to New England.
She said far away from an island.
The Straders still don't know if their home was destroyed, the one they were waiting to move into. As for the reason they stayed on the island, take a look. They gave us pictures. They had pets that couldn't be moved, 90-pound tortoises that had been a part of Patrick's family for more than 2 decades. But in the end, the tortoises did not survive the storm. You know, it's not just homes that were destroyed by Hurricane Ian. Here in Fort Myers, you've got critical infrastructure that was really devastated along Florida's west coast. I'm talking water plants, the power grid, and essential services.